Hi, and welcome back to this series of string technique videos. I'm Sydney Bryant, and last time you saw me, I was teaching you how to tune a double bass. Today we're going to go over some bowing techniques and playing styles on the violin. We'll get to using the bow to play later, but we're going to start here with the violin. So there are a couple different playing positions that you can hold your violin in. I'm sure that if you've seen videos of orchestral performances, you've seen people holding their violin up here on their shoulder, but we're going to start right now in what's called guitar position, and that is with the violin here on your lap, and then turn slightly to your left so that your fingers can play on these strings more easily. So first we're going to go over pizzicato, which is just plucking the strings like so, and so I'm going to play a quick D scale for you just to hear what that sounds like. Pretty simple. All you have to do is take your thumb or any one of your fingers and just pluck the strings gently. So that's pizzicato. And let's go on to regular bowing. So here's my bow. It's made out of horsehair here on the end. This white part you don't want to touch. And there are a couple other different parts of the bow. But today I'm going to be talking about the frog and the hair. So first, whenever you pull it out of your case, your bow is going to look something like this, with the hair very close to the wood body of the bow. And that's because whenever we store bows, we don't want to have too much tension going on in the hair, so we loosen it by twisting this screw down here. And so to tighten it and to get it at the correct tension to play, you're just going to turn it until there's enough space between the hair and the wood for about a pinky finger's width. About like that, yeah. And before we play, we're also going to grab some rosin, which is a rock sort of substance, but whenever you scratch it a little bit like this, it turns into a powder that you will rub on the hair of the bow. And when you do that, it makes the bow glide across the strings much easier, resulting in a much prettier sound than if you had no rosin on your bow. All right, so we're going to take our violin and have it up here on shoulder position. If you don't have a shoulder rest like I have, a foam block would suffice just fine, but you do want to have something here on the back of your violin to support between your shoulder and your chin. And so you're going to put it right here. And I'm going to start just on the D string on what's called a down bow stroke. So to hold the bow, you want your forefinger lying here pretty relaxed on the rubber grip part here. Your two middle fingers on this square section of the bow, and your pinky resting over the screw at the end. Your thumb should be, there we go, your thumb should be nestled in this crook right here. So we're going to start on the D string, and we're going to do a down bow stroke, which starts at the bottom of the hair and goes all the way to the top. Pretty easy. And to get the best kind of sound out of your violin, you're going to need to put a little bit of pressure onto the bow. Not too much, but just enough to where you get a nice steady sound. Now from the down bow, that starts at the bottom of the hair and moves up. For the up bow, we move the bow in the other direction. Like so. I think I need a little more rosin. When we combine these, we get a down bow and up bow action. And when they go together, they make a very pretty legato sound on the violin, which is something like this. There's a bit of a pathway here between the neck and the bridge. You want your bow, the hair on the bow, to glide between this section. If you get any closer to the neck or the bridge, you'll get really terrible sounds out of your violin. So you want to go through what we call the highway on your strings to get the best sound. If you go closer toward the neck, it's really gritty and very, it's not as pretty sounding. And if you go toward the bridge, it gets even worse. We don't want any kind of sound like that. So make sure that you're staying right here in the highway as we start talking about each of these bowing techniques. And there are a couple of variations on the down bow and up bow. First, we're going to talk about slurred bowing, which is where you keep going in the same direction as you change notes. So I'll first play a D and then an E while going in the same down bow direction. The next variation we're going to learn on down bow, up bow is called hooked bowing. And this is where you start going in one direction and then you pause briefly and keep going in the same direction for the next note. So let's say that you're playing 2 quarter notes with a rest in between. So it'll be 1, rest, 3. And I'm going to play that on a hooked bow for you like so. 1, rest, 3. One more time. 1, rest, 3. Notice how the bow keeps going in the same direction for the hooked bowing. And it works the same way for up bow. 1, rest, 3. One more time. 1, rest, 3. And that's hooked bowing. So those are a few of the basic bowing techniques that you'll encounter when you first start learning the violin. You now have the tools to be able to play a wide variety of articulations on the violin. Happy playing, and we'll see you soon.